Good afternoon. It's the news at 12 on MITV Plus. I am Sebastian Salifo. President Bola Tinubu has appointed Ambassador Bianca Ojukwu as Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs following the resignation of Ambassador Yusuf Tugar. This was contained in a statement released by the presidential spokesperson Bayo Nanuga on Wednesday. Tugar recently stepped down to participate in the 2027 elections. Ambassador Odumegu Ojukwu previously served as Minister of State in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. In vein, President the same vein, the president has nominated Ambassador Sola Enikolaye as the new Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, subject to Senate confirmation. Until his nomination, Ambassador Enikolaye from Kogi State served as Senior Special Assistant to the President of Foreign Affairs and International Relations. President Bola Tinubu has endorsed the consensus candidate of the All Progressive Congress (APC) in Lagos State, Obafemi Hamzat, for the 2027 governorship elections. Tinubu endorsed Hamzat on Wednesday following a meeting with the members of the Governance Advisory Council of the Lagos APC at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. The Governors Advisory Council members were led by Tajuddin Olusi and Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State. Following the meeting, Sanwo-Olu, who described Hamzat, his deputy, as a reliable partner, said President Tinubu's endorsement is a bold statement of trust, confidence, and assurance by our leader that he's truly the best man for the job. The presidential endorsement is the latest in the growing list of approvals for Hamzat's governorship bid next year. The federal government has declared Friday, May 1st, 2026, a public holiday in observance of the year's International Workers' Day. The announcement was made by the Minister of Interior, Olubumi Tunji Ojo, on behalf of the government as he extended congratulations to Nigerian workers. In a statement signed by the Permanent Secretary, Magdalene Ajani, on Thursday, the minister commended workers across the country for their dedication and their contributions to national development. He emphasized that the efforts of Nigerian workers remain central to the nation's growth and prosperity, urging them to continue upholding the values of patriotism, productivity, and commitment to duty. Tunji Ojo also reaffirmed the federal government's commitment to improving workers' welfare and security, as well as fostering an enabling environment for economic growth. The Supreme Court is set to deliver judgment today in two high stakes political cases involving the African Democratic Congress (ADC) and the People's Democratic Party rulings that could significantly reshape Nigeria's opposition landscape ahead of the 2027 general elections. At the center of both disputes are questions about the limits of judicial intervention in party affairs and the legitimacy of rival leadership factions. In the ADC case, a former Senate President, David Mark, is asking the Apex Court to overturn earlier rulings that allowed a suit challenging the party's leadership to proceed. The Court of Appeal had earlier ruled against Mark, describing his appeal as premature and filed without leave. Following that directive, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) withdrew recognition of the Mark-led leadership pending judicial resolution of the party's authentic leadership. In a parallel case, the Apex Court will rule on a leadership fossil within the PDP stemming from its disputed national convention held in Ibadan, Oyo State. The appeal was filed by a faction led by Taminu Turaki, whose executives emerged from the convention. They are seeking to overturn a Court of Appeal judgment that nullified the exercise for violating a subsisting court order. The appellants, through their counsel, Polerokoro SAN, urged the Supreme Court to validate convention and dismiss a cross appeal by a rival faction aligned with the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Yesom Wike. Lamido had secured a federal high court ruling restraining the PDP from holding the convention until he was allowed to participate as a candidate for national chairman. Despite that order, the party proceeded with the convention an action both both the trial court and the Court of Appeal later ruled unlawful. The appealable court held that the case was not shielded by the doctrine of internal party affairs and consequently nullified the convention. The five rescued students of the Ogun State-owned Shakbade Polytechnic have been handed over to the members of the school management as one of the students recounted the harrowing experience they went through in the hands of their abductors. The State Commissioner of Police, Bode Olajuni, while handling over the rescue students, said special security arrangements are being put in place by the police to ensure a robust security architecture around tertiary institutions across the state. He, however, read the not act to criminal elements, asking them to relocate or face the full wrath of the law. Bode Olajuni Ogun, Commissioner of Police, one of the rescued students, Dangote Refinery has increase the ex-depot price of premium motor spirits or petrol and automotive gas oil diesel following a sharp upward movement tied to international crude market pressure from $105 per barrel on Monday. Brent crude jumped to $116 on Wednesday and to $125 per barrel as of the time of filing this report. As a result, the Dangote Petroleum Refinery jacked up its petrol gantry price from 1,200 naira to 1,275 naira per liter, while coasted supply prices climbed up to 1,215 naira. Diesel price has been increased to 1,800 naira per liter, up from 1,750 naira, as the refinery has also suspended loading operations at the facility. The report quoted sources, including those at the refinery. Suspensions of loading and the pro forma invoice took effect around midnight Wednesday. Hailing diesel allocations to marketers, market checks show major depots across the nation sold at higher prices during closing hours on Wednesday. Oil prices soared more than 7% to a fresh 4 year high Thursday, while stocks fell after Donald Trump warned the US blockade of Iranian ports could last months, and a report said he would be briefed on potential fresh military strikes. While Tehran submitted a fresh proposal this week to reopen the crucial Strait of Hormuz, the US president reportedly did not believe he was negotiating in good faith. The Wall Street Journal said he had told national security officials to prepare for a long blockade to compel the Islamic Republic to give its nuclear program. At a meeting of oil executives on Tuesday, he discussed efforts to alleviate global oil markets and steps we could take to continue the current blockade for months if needed and minimize impact on American consumers. A White House official said on condition of anonymity, it came as Axios cited two unnamed sources with knowledge as saying Admiral Brad Cooper, commander of the U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM, would brief Trump on potential military action. The United States war in Iran has cost $25 billion so far, a senior Pentagon official said on Wednesday, while providing the first official estimate of the military's price tag for the conflict. Jules Hurst, who is performing the duties of the controller, told the lawmakers on the House Armed Services Committee that most of the money was for ammunitions, according to the Reuters. Hurst did not detail what they cost. Estimates included and whether it looked on account for the projected cost of rebuilding and repairing base infrastructure in the Middle East damaged in the conflict. The $25 billion cost is equal to the entire budget of NASA for this year, but it is unclear how the Pentagon arrived at the $25 billion amount, given that a source had told Reuters last month that President Donald Trump's administration estimated that the first 6 days of the war had cost the United States at least $11.3 billion. The Inspector General of Police, Olatunji Disu, has approved the dismissal and prosecution of Assistant Superintendent of Police, Nuhu Usman, over the killing of a suspect in Efurun Delta State. The action follows the outcome of a review by the Force Disciplinary Committee, which examined the incident alongside other internal disciplinary procedures. Addressing an emergency press conference in Abuja, the IGP said the officers involved, along with a member of his team, has been recommended for dismissal from the Nigerian police force. The police panel found the officer in gross violation of Force Order 237 and other extant regulations governing the use of firearms. The disciplinary committee recommended the immediate dismissal of ASP Usman as well as other officers found culpable in the incident. The IGP has approved the recommendations and forwarded them to the Police Service Commission for ratification in line with the due process. Meta chief Mark Zuckerberg on Wednesday defended massive spending on artificial intelligence that dragged down shares despite strong earnings boosted by the technology. The social networking colossus raised its capital expenditures for this year to a range of $125 billion to $145 billion without laying out exactly how that investment would translate into profit. He gave the example of a hot trend in agentic AI in which digital assistants handle computer tasks independently at the behest of people. Zuckerberg spotlighted a new Muse Spark AI model built by Meta's nascent superintelligence lab, saying its technology will be put to work in Meta's offerings such as smart glasses and its advertising system. The AI investment from the company that owns Instagram and Facebook is not directly tied to a revenue stream as with Amazon, Microsoft, and Google, which sell for the AI powered cloud services to clients worldwide. That concludes the news at 12 on MITV Plus. Please follow us on all our social media platforms. It's at MITV Plus on Facebook. It's at MITV Plus underscore NG on Instagram, TikTok, and X. You can also watch our programs live on YouTube at MITV Plus underscore NG. I am Sebastian Salifu. Good afternoon.